Welcome to this conversation with the Morning Tea Marketing Missus, where we get together to offer ideas that can help small business owners, entrepreneurs, sole traders to present themselves in a way that they get seen and heard in the marketplace. Our usual hosts are Narelle, who is an accessibility auditor. There's myself, Janine Bosper. I help people have the confidence and ability to step up and with public speaking. And there we have Kate Smith, who is an awesome graphic designer, and Jan Roach splits herself between two businesses. One is BizConnect Web Design and Over 50's Health. Hey, ladies, I'm looking forward to this topic this month on how we create wellness and health and how we do that in business. And I'm going to hand this over to Narelle. You're sharing up first this month, Narelle.
Yeah, self-care and wellness and health is probably the most important thing to my mind out of everything. Because let's face it, if you yourself are not healthy and well and thinking straight and calm, you're not going to do well in business. You just can't, because your body is telling you to have a break. I know for myself, a couple of weeks ago, I really hit a wall and everything seemed to be piling on top of me. And I've got to be honest, I ended up said, well, this is ridiculous. I looked at my diary and thought, oh, it is so full. So I've had to put into place some steps that for me will ensure that I can keep doing what I'm doing. Because, yeah, my business is starting. So I am basically doing 7 days a week at the moment. And so my first thing is, okay, you need to have a half a day a week off. Doesn't matter what you do, but take it off. Yeah, like I get up and I go walking and I'm doing all the things you're meant to do to be healthy. But you know, when you do too much, and that's what happens. So my first step was look at my diary, think about what I can do to make my diary better, in the fact that to control when I am going to work and when I'm not going to have meetings, because we all use Calendly. Calendly lets us control when we want to have the meetings. And we can use our diary with Calendly to block out time, to make sure you stop every day and have lunch. To, in my case, make sure every 4 hours, 3 hours, I go toilet my guide dog, because that is a break for me. But it was more than that. It was, everything was getting, like the personal was getting mixed with the work, and it was all frustrating. And I started to do that bit of a panic to say, is this going to work? And I had to take a step back and say, well, hang on here. Not everyone's heard about what I do, being a digital accessibility auditor. People don't know what they don't know. Some people know bits of it, but they don't really think about the impacts of it. So I had to step back and say, get some perspective in all of this and think about exactly the other person's point of view. You know, put yourself in that third person. You know your information. They don't know it. Well, what's the third person's point of view? So taking that deep breath and calming down. And then I looked at also my exercise level, because I've gone a bit crazy. I was doing, you know, get up and going for a 4.5, 5K walk in the morning, do a 3 or 4K walk at night. Whoops. And then I'm walking the dog every, 2 or 3 hours to the toilet. So I was racking up 18, 20,000 steps a day. Well, maybe that doesn't help as well. You know, take that step back. I'm not a drinker. I don't drink a lot. I might laugh and say I do, but I don't. So that wasn't the issue. The issue was, like everything I do, I go at a bull at a gate. So it was really taking that step back, looking at everything I do and saying, yeah, maybe you need to take a deep breath. What can I control? If I can't control it, and it's in someone else's court, well, it's in someone else's court. There's nothing I can do. You do the best you can with what you've got, accept what you can't control, and be realistic about what you can do within the time frames. What do you ladies think?
I
100%.
agree, Narelle. I think that's really clever of you to do that. And I don't watch Survivor, but I flipped over last night during an ad because I was watching 2 other shows. And I won't know up to which one of them was. And the it was, I'm learning about people's personalities watching that show and how they treat each other. It's research. The What? What?
Hey, look, I know someone that watches Married at First Sight for exactly the same reason. It's what they tell me, and it's not me.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, flicked over to Survivor, and there was one young guy that just put his hand up and said, I need to leave.
Mm.
So he left the show last night. He said that because of the pressures in the game, that there was no relief from it. So not only are they playing the game, they've got the activities they do, but they're also cold and they were wet and they're hungry and they've got all these other things that come in at them. And he just said for his mental health, he needed to leave the game.
Yeah.
That was a big step to do that, because it's worth money and he's already given a couple of weeks of his time or whatever it involves. So yes, knowing to do that, I think it's a really good time. He stepped out completely. Sometimes you may have to do that, but stepping back is important.
And I also think that as you get older and as your bodies change, it takes longer to do some things. I know the left side I've got, it takes me longer to do things. And right now I'm working on learning the new version of Outlook, which is a web version. And it irritates me constantly, because where I could do shortcut keys and go, oh, Control Y, mailbox, and just do it. Now I can't. I've got to hit F6 and listen, F6. And I'm thinking, who designed this? You know, come on, guys. You've taken away all the good stuff and you've left me with all the stuff that's frustrating. But again, it's taking that step back and saying, well, this is the new way. It's not just me here. And yeah, it is frustrating, but the less side I've got, the longer it takes to do something. So maybe think about how long I might allocate to do a task. Add a little bit longer. Be gentle on yourself.
I think that's great advice, regardless of your site or your age, Narelle. I think every time I like plan out, the timeline for something, I'll often just do the blocks of the things that I have to do and forget all the incidental things in between those, like the phone call I have to make or the emails that I'll need to write, or getting from A to B and how long that's going to take. I think putting 10% or even 20% extra on any project time, like, okay, that'll take me an hour. It'll take me an hour and a half. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Just giving yourself that leeway. And it means you get to take a breath and even do the job better, or have that space to look after yourself. Yeah, really good advice.
Yeah. Thank you.
There's a quote that says, failure to plan on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part.
I like that one.
One of my reps used to use that all the time, because people would want delivery of their product straight away, and he refused. I'm in that area tomorrow. I'm in the area 2 days' time. I'll deliver that then. And he was very adamant. Just because you haven't planned doesn't mean that it becomes my emergency.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good lesson for us as well.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Or adding a rush cost to your products. If somebody wants it in a certain time frame, you can say, well, yeah, sure, but that's 20% more.
Yeah.
That's a good point, especially with what you and Jan do. And Narelle as well, because you're creating things for people. I think that's a really good idea to do that. Do you do that, Jan?
Yeah, look, we quote up front, obviously, but we do quite often. We're put under a little bit of stress sometimes with timelines, excuse me, because when it is left up to another individual outside of our organisation to get some information to us, and if they've forgotten or they haven't had time to, or life happens, whatever, but it still then makes the project not stick to the time frame that we first anticipated it was going to take. So, it makes us think about how, moving forward, how we are going to handle getting content organised. We would like to have the client put themselves into the equation by providing content. But sometimes it's just like, hey, just let us do the research and keyword and competition research, and we might be able to come up with something that's even better for the project. But it's if you're depending on others who don't understand your timeline or your time frame to work to, it doesn't always go according to plan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And the other thing, Jan, Narelle, I think is important because you said, you know, you're just starting out. And I have this conversation with people all the time. You are on page 3.
Yes. Page 2.5. I'm not quite
Okay,
at page
2.5.
3. Yeah.
And for us that have been doing things for a long time, you know, that we have the things set up already. I didn't write my 2 books in the first year I was in business or the second
Yeah.
year. I wrote them when I had the opportunity, when other things were already established, or the podcast, or any of the other things. So, you know, might be on page 155.
Yeah.
And it's just giving yourself that break. But because I'm on page 155, things are much easier and quicker because I've just done them so many times before. And you'd be finding that too, Jan, because you've been in business for a while. So give yourselves a break.
Yeah. And that's true. That
Okay.
is true.
Yeah, we want the success, and anyone out there, 3 years it takes to really get things to that level where you can start to go, okay, this is working well. I can really put things in, but in the meantime, you've got to give yourself a break.
Yeah.
It kind of helps you to create new standard operating procedures too, because you know that if it's happened more than once, that it could happen a few more times. So how do we get rid of the potential catastrophe? we write a standard operating procedure, and this is how things get done, and that way we can control the controllables.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's a good point there. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Thanks, ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for
You're
saying that.
You're doing
I
great.
think there'll be a lot of new business owners out there who would love to hear that it is hard. I mean, I'm in I guess I'm going into my 3rd year. You're similar, right, Narelle?
Yeah,
And
yeah. This is about halfway through our 2nd year. Yeah.
yeah, okay. And yeah, 1st year is terrible. It's really hard. It's
Yeah.
you're fighting all of your limiting beliefs and trying to run a business at the same time. And it's just difficult.
And your head gets really heavy with all of the different hats that you have to wear.
Man,
Yeah.
And then 2nd year, you kind of get used to your neck gets stronger or something, so your hats are all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, then things start coming at you from other directions.
Yeah.
You get a whole new set of problems. So I'm glad to hear there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel at year 3.
Well, there is if you set up some systems.
Right.
That's
Right.
the important factor. Systems.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have a system, like we have a standard operating procedure for our standard, a system for our system, basically.
Mhm.
Love
Yep.
it. Yeah, no, it's important. It does, and it helps with the health, mental health, physical health, time, everything else as well.
Cool.
That's cool. I think there's so much advice in this conversation and ideas and things to, because as you said, Kate, people will be thinking these issues and points going, how do I do it? How do I get through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Be
ladies.
kind to yourself and keep going.
Be kind to
Yeah.
yourself. That's if you are being kind to anyone, start with yourself.
Yeah.
Most important person.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. I love that. Thank you, ladies. That was really interesting. And if you've loved this conversation of Morning Tea Marketing Misses, remember, check everything out on our YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single conversation. If you see us out on the socials, share it out, make a comment. We'd love to hear from you. We look forward to you joining us next time on the next conversation of Morning Tea Marketing Misses. Bye-bye.
Bye.